Hey there, I'm Troy Bronsink, and Nancy Ross Zimmerman invited me to hold some space at the beginning of each of your discipleship group series here during Lent to help ground the experience of this book study you're doing with Richard Rohr's work on simplicity, as well as ground this as a contemplative practice in general. A little bit about myself. I am a Presbyterian minister, and the last 6 years I've been the founder and director of a center called The Hive, a center committed to contemplation, art, and action. And we meet online, we meet in Northside, and during that period I had the privilege of spending 2 years in the Living School, which is a program connected to Richard Rohr's work and the center in Albuquerque for contemplation and action. And so while this book is about 20 years ago, it sets a lot of the stage for the type of things I had the privilege to study with Father Richard, as well as things that kind of root intentional contemplative community. So I'm honored to be invited into holding that space with you. Each week, I'm going to invite us to do two things. I'm going to invite us into a contemplative practice, a way of kind of paying attention together, and offer a few leaping off points for the reading of the book. We have 5 weeks together, and with the preface, there are 10 chapters, and so I'm just going to tackle 2 at a time. Today, we'll do the preface in chapter 1. If you haven't read all that, don't feel bad about it. In fact, contemplative reading doesn't mean you have to read all of it. You just read where it starts to hit you and trust that others in the group have read parts of it and you can read to each other and all of that. So today, I'm going to take a little bit longer to set the stage for what is a contemplative small group. What is it like to participate together at that kind of more grounded place, and what Rohr would describe later as surrender. Surrender instead of self-control. And we don't have a lot of examples of this for groups. So I want to invite you to think of 3 things right now as we think about this group that you're a part of. I want you to think about your own body. I want you to think about your own story. And then I want you to observe the room. Now, you don't have to do this all in real time. I'll remind us each week a little bit about this. But right now I want to explain what I mean by that. So first, your own body. Our experience of God comes through this body of ours, through our very life. The notion of incarnation is that divinity fits fully into this moment, that whatever it is God wants us to know and see, it is revealed to us in our very body. And so the invitation is to pay attention to your body. In trauma-informed work, we use the word, our body keeps score. So when you notice in your body where there's an ouch in it, you can actually feel that, a constriction in your gut. You're going to read something and you're going to go, ooh, and just notice that. You don't have to quickly rush to a conclusion about it. Notice it. When you notice in your body like oh, my gosh, I can't believe he said that. I always have thought this. Or when somebody in the room says that and you go, oh, I'm so glad you said that. Notice it. And you can even laugh and go, wow, my body gave me some real information there. Notice your body. The second is notice your story. Notice your story. In our most childlike hour, we experienced infinite love giving itself away as our very life. We didn't feel separate from God. And then we've built a story about our own personality and about the world and about church and our parents and our nation. And that story a lot of times is navigating how it is we understand ourselves and this experience of God in life. So notice your story. And maybe as we begin to notice it over the weeks ahead, you can create a little pliability and go, my story has changed. My story is on the move. And sometimes we're like, thank goodness. So notice your body, notice your story, and the third is notice the room. Notice the room. The beautiful siblings, women and men that are part of this group with you. Maybe you even want to just exhale for a minute and look around and see the folks that you're gathering with. And the crazy thing is that they're getting information in their bodies. Some of them are looking down because it's a little embarrassing to look at everybody in the group. Some of you are in the inside going, oh my gosh, how long is this introduction going to take? All the things that are going on in your body. Some of you have had a really, really, really tough day. Some of you are so relieved that we're finally doing this kind of a group, whatever that is. So you notice the room and see if the room operates a little bit like a body. Sometimes a question will come up. Somebody will read a part of the book, and the whole room will constrict, just like your body does when your partner brings up that awkward conversation. You're like, and you can watch the room do that. And you can also notice times where the room starts to get a little tired, and we do what's called dissociate. We kind of just start to get foggy brain and go, I don't get it, and whatever. Just notice that in the room. Don't judge it. Just recognize that when 2 or 3 are gathered together, the mystery of Christ is in our midst. And so be curious, how is the mystery of Christ showing up right now? So we've gone kind of long on today's video, and so I'll just ask one question, and it comes from this intersection of the introduction in chapter 1. And it's this noticing of what is my earliest image of God? And I'd like you to think for a minute, when you were a kid, when you were kind of out on your own, or maybe you had this experience in a gathering place. Can you remember what your earliest experience of talking to God or about God was? Can you notice that? Notice where it hits you in the body. And the second part of that question is, can you notice when that was disrupted? When suddenly you realize that God didn't stop some of the painful things that were happening, or the authorities you believed represented God didn't behave the way they wanted to, and whatever that is for you, and you don't need to overshare, but just notice it in your own body. When was that challenged? Roar's going to mention things like God as Santa Claus, or God as a great judge, or God as a timekeeper, God as an improver, Zeus with all the power, all these things. Notice them and share them with one another. So much more we could jump into, but I invite you today to reflect on your body, the story, and the body of the room. And I'll look forward to being with you again next week to start your second week as we talk about chapters 2 and 3. Take care.